I don't think Starbucks needs an introduction, right? So I think the only difference is when you're brewing for success in a chai-loving country like India, right? Starbucks certainly has become a household name. And a brand that helps a lot of startup folks like me to thrive in a working space, in coffee shop, working out of anywhere, right? So it's truly a commendable journey in a very short span that you have seen, right, Vipin? And I have none other than Vipin, who heads technology, data, digital transformation, and security at Starbucks to share the behind the scenes story behind the brand's success here. So Vipin, I'll just start with this. Starbucks started in India about 12 years ago, and now you boast to have around 430 plus stores in 54 cities, correct? I believe operating at that scale must come with its own challenges and opportunities to capture the Indian audience. So could you please tell us about your journey in the Indian market?
So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. I think while Starbucks has grown, I've only been here for 3 years. So I think a lot of credit goes to a lot of people who started and did all the hard work initially to set up the brand. I think to answer your questions, I don't think, in many ways, the challenges that we faced are similar to what any other business will also face, and especially in QSR, when we talk about the product consistency, when we talk about pricing, we talk about store allocations, we talk about supply chain. I think one key difference which is there for Starbucks is the experience. So we stand, as the MC was saying, that we stand for experience, and we stand for place in terms of but place, I would still say it is easy to replicate. You can, and I think if you go across our stores across India, you'll find very local designs which really appeal to a lot of the local audiences there. But I think the whole experience, the whole human connection and the warmth that we stand for, that is the most difficult to replicate. And I think the entire people element, and especially in the retail QSR industry where typical attrition rates are 30–40%. So how do you really create that experience or replicate that consistency and experience, whether you go from Guwahati to Amritsar to Trivandrum to Jammu? How do you create that experiences? I think is a key challenge. And I think beyond that, so there is a people element, and then now how do you overlay technology on top of that to really weave into your entire customer journeys? So let's say whether it's a Wi-Fi, right? So the way we have architected our Wi-Fi systems in India, you can go to any Starbucks in India, you'll find the same experience. The architecture and the hardware that has been put in, the mobile apps that we have put in, the backend systems that we have put in, and of course the entire, as I said, the people element. How do you build that culture? And I take that example in many places that so you go to a typical QSR and you take one extra sachet of like a ketchup, and then the guy will start looking at you, right? But at Starbucks, and by the way, please don't try this trick, which I'm going to tell you now. So even if you go and let's say by mistake you spill your drink, because whatever happened, the barista will come and give you a new drink. And then they will, of course, and if you don't like the drink, so for example, you order a black coffee and you say I don't like it, they will continue to make it for you unless, of course, not to be, as I said, don't quote me on these tricks outside, but they will, the purpose and the philosophy and the DNA is entire to make you feel comfortable. That whole concept of third place that we keep talking about, how do you create a third place for our consumers somewhere between work and home, where you feel the warmth and the connection. So I think that DNA, replicating that both on the people front and weaving technology in those customer journeys to be able to do that, I think it's a big challenge, which I would say we are endeavoring to solve. I don't think we have fully solved yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to try that for sure. But talking about that warmth and connection that you want to deliver, knowing first name of the customers is absolutely critical for Starbucks. All of us here would have faced that, right? Like they do not let you go before you tell your name. And that makes us feel valued. It adds that X factor to the experience. But I, for a fact, know that Starbucks' story of customer engagement goes much beyond that, right? It starts with the first name, but it's so much more than that. So would you like to throw some light on what does it mean? Like, what does customer engagement mean for you? How do you define it, and what does it entail? And you probably want to switch.
Yeah. Is it okay? Yeah, slides. I think.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, so one of the, I think the key differentiating factors again for Starbucks is that we believe that we are in a business of human connections. We, of course, and the coffee and the food happens after that, right? So, and our mission statement, as you must have, read somewhere, is that with every cup, with every conversation, with every community, we endeavor to build and explore the limitless possibilities of human connection. So I think that's what engagement means for us, right? Engagement is not saying, okay, sir, give me your phone number. I would punch it in, and then, by the way, you'll get an offer, or you get bombarded with like offers every time. Every you get up in the morning and you do that. No, we don't do nothing of that
Or
sort.
call you at all times.
Exactly. We probably would be the only retailer in India who actually does not ask for phone numbers on the till.
Oh wow.
We would be the only retailer in India whose apps are actually two-factor authenticated, because we value your data security to an extent which most retailers don't do. And the cost models and everything are built according to that. So I think for us, customer engagement, as I said, we want the whole 3 to 5 minutes you spend with the barista, we really want you to build that connection with the barista. We want you to understand what you want. We want you to make sure that you get the right coffee with the right customizations, with the right food pairing. Everything happens in that. And as I said, we want you to build that connection with the barista, which again starts with your name, and we have built everything around that, right? So for example, our POS, again, very few retailers, or I would say QSRs will have that, where you come in and the barista actually gets your history. So it gets your name, it gets your tier, it gets your favorite drink, it gets your favorite store. Of course, depending on the time, they will weave that into the conversation that happens. And same goes with our digital platforms as well. So our mobile app that you will see, and I can confidently say that will be probably be the only few brick and mortar retail in India who actually brought so much brand elements onto the app, right? So we have a digital avatar of a barista on our app and a WhatsApp. You actually get a personalized message every morning, which is generated by ChatGPT, which takes into account the context, the season, the favorite drink, and that you could do, and that you see every morning on your screen. So even if you open our app every day for the next 30 days, you'll actually get a fresh message on your screen. So that's the whole, I would say, philosophy and the ethos of customer engagement is about making you feel warmth, the connection, and and one of the, I think, other things also is that if you see in the most retailers is that there is some brand, black box brand, and the customer. For us, it is about building that connection with the barista. Yeah. So every barista in the store, and I think, if you look at some of our older stores in Bandra and maybe Delhi, baristas already know a lot of the local consumers, they go. And then the moment the guy, and actually I was speaking to somebody in Navi Mumbai the other day, is a gentleman from Reliance. He was saying, the moment I enter, the barista already knows what I want. And I just say, and that's all. And that's all. He goes and sits, enjoys his news reading, everything, and the drinks get served to him. So, and you don't need technology for that. Yeah. But I think what we're trying to do is that to make sure that the technology layer is there, which then a lot of these things can be done at scale. So I think that's what we stand for.
Yeah, and I think you said it right? Every brand today is actually solving the problem at the end of the day to solve for those delivering of exceptional experiences. Yeah. And while there is that experience that offline retailers give without technology, the technology component has to get us attached to this to build that consistency, right? So we've seen many brands opt for innovative and some of the advanced MarTech platforms to deliver this, right? So would love to know more about, how did Starbucks get pushed to opt for an insights-led engagement platform like MoEngage? And what is really the impact that you saw after onboarding?
So as you know, so we are still sort of in process of getting, I think, we have implemented, but the driving the ROI, I think we're still in that phase. But I think one of the philosophies that I had was that, first of all, the entire platform has to be omni-channel. I think we were never starting with the phase saying that, okay, this is my app platform and this is my offline platform. We always wanted to be one single platform, because customer don't view you as an offline and online, right? Yeah. Customer says, I'm going to Starbucks. Now, whether I end up ordering a takeaway on my app, or I go to my till, to order with the barista, they don't think about any brand rather, not Starbucks. So that was the first thing. And the other thing is that I think in today's world, a lot of things are given. Customer already expecting, and especially when you're paying premium, to brands like Starbucks, they would expect you to know what they already order. They would expect you to know their preferences. They would expect you to know, and even small things like giving them invoice, giving them reminders. A lot of people would come back and say, oh, I had these offers I never knew. Why don't you tell me that the offer got expired, right? So a lot of these things are like given for brands like Starbucks. So I think, so for us, 3 things were very important. I think this will continue in terms of capturing the right context and the triggers and the relevance for the consumer. When is he in the store? When is he opening the app? When is he connecting to Wi-Fi? When is he connecting to my other platforms like WhatsApp? The entire data. So how do you create of course, a lot of the data processing and the analytics happens outside. But then how do you create that insights, right? So for example, marketing guys are saying, okay, for this month we will take this, segment, and then we'll create an ROI based on this segment. So how do you create that thinking and then replicate in the distribution engine, which is a platform like MoEngage, and then create a seamless journey, right? So whenever there's a trigger, it gets attached to the data, and then it gets, distributed through MoEngage. So I think for us, having that whole closed loop sort of a mechanism, was very key. And as the slide says that I think, earlier, a lot of there were data silos like loyalty data, POS data, the app data, they were not talking to each other. There were limited visibility on the product masters, and we were largely doing email and SMS, right? So that was there. But I think now, this is what we plan to do. Now we have a consolidated view of our data sources. We have actually the entire entity masters, which I will say that all our customer master, offer master, product master, your the store master, and the transaction master. All these masters are now with MoEngage, which is again linked to my data lake so that they can actually talk to each other real time or near real time. Then a lot of these analysis, which actually a lot of this is done by our analytics agency, that okay, which segment, which offer, which product, what time. I think they decide a lot of that, along with marketing, because there's a lot of business thinking that goes, which is dependent on the business goals for that year. And then, of course, then the omni-channelization happens where, MoEngage will, say, okay, this is the preferred channel for the customer, this is the time, everything, all the thinking and the intelligence of distribution actually then happens in MoEngage. So a lot of that we have already achieved. And I think, so we are hoping in the coming months, then a lot of the ROI will be also driven through this. But that is what the thinking is.
Got it. I think it's beautiful how you have presented this. But let's kind of take a step back, because a lot of people in the audience might also have gone through similar challenges as you of treating a customer as 2 rather than 1, offline and online, right? So if you were to tell our audience more about what was the thought process that went into choosing a platform like MoEngage. I'm sure there was a checklist of sorts, there were like consideration areas that you were looking into. What were those like for you?
So I think in terms of, I would say the evaluation criteria, I'm sure they're pretty standard, which every organization will use. But I think 2-3 things which at least in my past life, we had worked with other tools in my past roles. I think one of the challenges would you get is that these tools are too complex. It's like, you go in and say, okay, boss, ये मेरा एक core tool है, अभी उसको आपको अगर app चलाना है, तो now you will take another module. Okay, geolocation करना है, तो we have another partner, which goes to another module, and then, SMS is another. So it's like a bunch of modules. Of course, they can do what you can do, or maybe more in many cases, but for an organization like us, which has lean teams, but great, expectation of higher business outcomes, we wanted something very simple. And I think for us then, at least MoEngage fit that bill. The second aspect of us was that also was around the agility and the localization of teams. I think one of the other challenges I remember, we had done an app which was an older platform. Again, don't judge me. The guy prior to me had done the decision. It's like, so it was Xamarin based app. I don't know how many techies in the room, but it's a very hybrid legacy platform. So we were all gung-ho about, okay, let's do this now, and we'll integrate the SDK, and we'll start all the mobile notifications. And guess what? The moment we started, the tool guy came back and said that, oh, sorry, we don't support this platform. I was like, okay, I'm ready to invest the money. Can you please see if you can build the SDK? Oh, we will put it into our roadmap. Maybe after 9 months, we'll come back and tell you. So that we didn't want, right? So, so I think working with MoEngage, at least, I think that some of these things have been helpful. I think the team has really supported, especially the entire concept around the masters, the data masters getting synced almost real time with the required data security. I think that was a big deal for us, because as I said earlier, you're as good as your data. So if you don't have the right data, then you can only do so much. So I think a lot of the agility of the team, localization, their flexibility, and simplicity, I think those are the 3-4 elements. Of course, cost will always be there, but yeah.
Don't quote him on that though.
Cost will always be there, but yeah, those are the 3-4 areas I think which was there.
And in terms of product and enabling certain use cases, if you have any examples in mind on, I mean, it will be very useful for the audience to visualize how that journey offline, online got stitched together in terms of, with respect to a use case maybe.
Yeah. So I think I would say, which is in a way, I think, I'm sure a lot of people in the room have already thought about a lot of these things. So I would not talk about the standard stuff around app notifications and omni-channel campaign management and how do you select channels and all that. I think the two very distinct use cases that we're doing, which I said earlier also, for us, the trigger, the data processing, and then the distribution that actually has to work in sync. So one of the use cases that we are almost about to deploy now is that how do you make the entire experience omni-channel, both physical and digital. So imagine a scenario where let's say we have now SDKs integrated with our app. Our Wi-Fi systems, which you use in our stores, is also is a fairly advanced system which is there. They actually have SDKs which we have already integrated into our apps. So if you give me the right permissions, these Wi-Fi software will actually, the moment you walk into our store, the Wi-Fi systems will automatically connect to Wi-Fi. It is all TRAI compliant, DOT compliant, because in India, if you don't know, public Wi-Fi systems have to be DOT compliant because they need the data, they can ask you for data anytime. So they're all DOT compliant. Now, the moment you enter the store, the software gives me a nudge saying this user ID and this store ID has matched. So now a particular user has entered the store. Through the access routers, we get that store IDs, and then I can actually match that data with my analytics data saying, okay, for this user ID, what are the past orders, what are the favorite drinks, what are their status, what are the offers, and then I can stitch that message and create a message saying, Shivangi, welcome back to Starbucks. Would you like to order your usual, which is basically, I can say also saying Java chip frappuccino with a slight touch of hazelnut syrup or something like that, and that message gets delivered via MoEngage to your WhatsApp, and then on WhatsApp you just have to say yes or no. So if you say yes, then my app engine picks it up and the order gets in, and you take your seat, and then within 5 minutes the barista calls you saying, Shivangi, your order is ready.
Wow.
So that's the whole, I think, the closed loop that we wanted to create and we are going to create, is that how do you create this whole offline Wi-Fi systems, then the analytics systems, and then do a real-time communication through MoEngage. Another one which we are exploring now, or actually building now, is how do you use effectively WhatsApp. So people who use WhatsApp campaigns, I'm sure you know that once the person interacts or the customer interacts, there is a 24-hour window, which is basically the free window. That is a carrot for us. So what we're doing is that the moment you interact with my WhatsApp platform, I actually then record that timestamp in MoEngage, and then MoEngage can actually orchestrate a journey saying, if you're a gold consumer, then over the next 24 hours, I'll maybe send you 2 messages which are either on coffee at home or my latest coffee or the merch that has launched in. If you are a green customer or a new customer, then maybe I'll send you a nudge on like an LTO or a new event that is coming up. So I can do all that. So those are the things that we are planning to do. Again, standard beyond omni-channel campaign management. How do you then, I think the triggers are the key. And geolocation, the whole Wi-Fi systems, the WhatsApp systems, how do you capture those triggers, combine that with the data, make it very relevant for the consumer, and then distribute it via MoEngage? I think that's the vision.
Also processing all of this real time, right? Because I've just entered the store and you're saying that this entire process will take so short that after saying yes, the coffee is there with me in 5 minutes is commendable, because probably takes longer to do it manually.
No, I think so I think it's just it's a bit by bit, because to enable this architecture, there are a lot of bits and pieces that goes and takes it has taken years to build that pieces. So
you've actually digitized the journey of telling the barista my usual, right?
Yes, exactly, on a digital platform, and as simple as WhatsApp saying yes or no.
Yeah.
And by the way, one thing I didn't take, I also can then do the same thing if you've been sitting in a Starbucks and then you're on a call and you want a refill on the drink, but you don't have time because you're on a call, and I send you a message after 30 minutes saying, hi Shivangi, hope you enjoyed your drink, would you like a refill? And you just say yes, and then you just have to pick up the coffee after that. That's all.
It's immediate increase in LTV of a user.
Let's hope so. And as I said, maybe after a year when we speak, then I'll give you more numbers. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and the interesting part again, and I don't know if you have more data to double click on that, is you mentioned that if you're a green or a gold customer, you are actually able to A/B test also, right? Like whether you'd like this or that, right? Manually, it's not that possible because too many questions also is not part of a great experience in person.
And as I said, Starbucks is not about intrusiveness, right? So Starbucks is about connection. I don't want to do anything, you know, it's like technology for us, at least personally me, and I think this is the organization's philosophy also. Technology is to enable the connection and the customer experience.
Right.
It is not the customer experience, right? So if I can solve a problem, if I can solve a friction, using technology, great. Otherwise, you know, this works very well in many stores. So I think I don't want to change that. So we are all human beings.
Digitally, it unlocks that possibility of testing out outcomes, trying out new products, etc. Any last thoughts before we wrap this up in terms of an advice that you'd like to give out there to many retailers who might be in a similar position as you were earlier, or you know, want to innovate from here on?
No, I think my only key thing, and again, I'm here to also learn. There are very esteemed people sitting in the audience, but I think my experience only is that I think you have to think very holistically when you're thinking about marketing, or generally as a martech, as a camp, you know, as a topic within technology or a digital. And I think so you have to think very holistically, online, offline, as we already discussed, doesn't matter. And how does your campaign management tool then works with your internal systems, I think is one of the biggest blockers.
Yeah.
You know, as I said earlier, you know, you could spend, you know, so much money on these tools, but end of the day, the internal systems are not lined up. Yeah. So I think integration, the enterprise architecture view, and then the entire holistic view on how the customer journeys are solving. I think to me is very critical, because, you know, end of the day, you know, what we see a lot of times, what happens is you just keep getting SMSs, you know, you just keep getting, and sometimes it's irrelevant. So yesterday I got a message from, you know, a brand which is talking about a new hotel in London. I'm like, why are you sending me to London? I've never been to London. Don't have a visa for London. Then why are you sending me your new saying for London, you know, like a property that they have? So I think, so those things, I think, you know, so hence that integration with internal systems, because customers, I feel, have really, they're, you know, they're getting spoiled. And every day you see so much innovation happening. You know, I use one of the health apps. The kind of thinking that they're doing on using ChatGPT and GenAI, I just feel that, you know, after a while this will become so standard that if you don't give very personalized messages to consumers on your app, people will say like, you know, it's like, where are you guys, right? So I think, so that's why I think that whole holistic thinking and the enterprise architecture view and customer journey view, I think those are very critical.
Absolutely. In a privacy first world that India is also now venturing into with Android 13 and everything, you cannot start stitching data together and be non-personalized. People will just block you or, you know, unsubscribe on pushes also, right? So great advice, Vipin. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, and I hope, I'm sure the audience had a lot of takeaways for themselves. Thank you so much for sparing this time.
Thanks very much for your time.